one of the techniques which people use in order to get the um, to get like to be true themselves or to get to the right emotional state is to use meditation. It was very common because millions of people use meditation. And in your experience, like, can meditation be useful in terms of releasing past traumas, events which took place a long time ago?
Well, there are people out there that have had that success. And I myself was not one of those people, even though I began a practice of meditation when I was 18 years old. And I had a disciplined meditation and yoga practice that I continued all through that time period when I was going through the rocky ride. And then age 43, I just hit a wall, and it was just like, whoa, this is just too hard, and I don't know what's holding me back. And, I could meditate for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at a time because I loved to meditate. And yet, it wasn't helping me get to the heart of the matter. And Candace Blakely, who developed this technique, when she was training us, she said, you can have really disciplined spiritual practice, but she said new decision therapy is designed to open and awaken the heart chakra and allow you to find connection to the wisdom that lives there for living healthy, happy relationships. When there are blocks that prevent full access to that wisdom, then your spiritual practices are going to be like whipped cream on shit. Okay? And honestly, because I'd gone through the NDT process by that time, I just burst out laughing because I just saw my whole life flash before me and all the times that's exactly what I had experienced. I would come out of this wonderful state of bliss, a whole weekend spiritual retreat, or, my 1 or 2 hours of yoga and meditation practice and feeling all blissed out and optimistic. And then shit would hit the fan, like things would go all amiss. And somehow the relationships and what I meant to say and how conscious and aware I was going to be, it was like the emotions took over. And I didn't seem to have any way to stop that from happening, even with all my meditation and everything. And that, fortunately, changed after new decision therapy. So, that whole experience of, the whipped cream on shit phenomena, where you start to move around in the world, and then all that beautiful kind of blissful whipped cream that you had created through your practice, because it's opening up the chakras. The heart is like the joining point between the upper and the lower chakras, so that the energy is truly flowing entirely through. And when there's a block here, and by the way, the meridian points that we work with all are existing in the heart, area of the heart chakra. And so energy gets caught here, and you get a lot of, if this is blocked, you can get a lot of play out of that third chakra energy of needing power over, or, either you become small or you become too big, and all this hierarchy starts to play out, and all the ego play, and so on. So by getting that healing happening in the heart chakra area, then you can take all this wisdom that you're gleaning through your practices and get it flowing into your life, so that you actually begin to embody that which you believe, that which you have learned. Yeah.
In my experience, just by learning from what other people do, I know that it's possible for not many, few people, hard to say how many statistically, maybe few percent of meditators to have very profound, so we call it Kundalini experience. When all of a sudden, like, we have some kind of experience when we have like tears of joy running through them lasting for many minutes. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Joe Dispenza describes this effect as, at this time, looking at the EEG, it's like possible to say something like that. The past was virtually wiped out, and that's probably the way when people can release the trauma. But it's of course, in my understanding, that it's quite really hard process because it takes often months or years of meditation. Plus, in addition, there are actually not so many students who are able to achieve that. Whereas with new decision therapy, like let's say if you have
someone who doesn't meditate at all, who has never experienced meditation, can come and experience new decision therapy and get
right away, yes,
yeah.
very fast. Mm-hmm. And like as
because
well as,
I was explaining earlier, like some people who just have, they're not even open to the kind of spiritual exploration of themselves. They can still get the nuggets from new decision therapy. Yeah.
If we are talking about effects of yoga in relation to trauma release and new decision therapy, what would be the differences in terms of application of different yoga techniques? It takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to comment. When new decision therapy finally came into my life, I often went, oh, if only this had come first. If only, and it could have saved me from all these other years. And then, as I kind of calmed down and I retrospected through my life, I realized that everything has unfolded in perfect order. That my readiness for that was probably because I had already learned to meditate, because I had already learned a practice of yoga, which, by the way, started to kind of like from a pinhole. Like I came into all of that from a very kind of dark, I was caught in this dark tunnel, and eventually I at least saw pinpoints of light, of something, it's just like, am I going to emerge? Can I? Who can help me? Right.
And you mentioned that Kripalu Yoga helped you to.
I believe it really readied me for the NDT process, because I was a highly anxious, fearful, and skeptical human being, and the Kripalu Yoga was really the first sort of entry into understanding what it meant to have a heartfelt relationship with myself and others. Like I had before, like my own relationship with myself I was very hard on myself. Even in doing things like yoga or dance or anything, it was just like I would get mad because my body wouldn't cooperate, and it was like that me trying to whip the self into shape. And so at least the yoga and the meditation helped me to take a step back from all of that and make allowance and space for other possibilities to show themselves to me.